wanna take you sky. Take you sky.
evening, everybody, and welcome to our third episode of Down in the Valley for 2019. My name is Edson Ochoa, and I am one of the hosts. And we got Jacob right on time. How are you doing, Jacob? Jacob, can you hear me?
Yep, there we go. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Now let
All
me
right.
just... All right, interesting. Let's do something real quick. So, guys, welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. Like I said, my name is Edson. We got Jacob on here today. I think we're gonna have a good show today. I think there's a lot to talk about in regards to continuing with preseason for the RGVFC Toros. We actually have also two guests tonight that we're really glad to have on. We're going to have Mayra Olivarez, who she is the director of sales at RGVFC. Later on tonight, we're also going to have McConnico, who is one of the hosts for the Throw-In Austin, Texas, who will be helping us talk about the Austin Bowl. And the reason I wanted to have him on is because, well, as we all know, this weekend we're going to be playing the Austin Bowl in preseason. And for some reason, you're interesting. Let me do this real quick. Sorry, we're trying to add Jacob with Skype. Let me see if I see Skype video. Oh, you know what? Now I remember why. Hold on. Why can I not? Oh, here we go. Advance. Hold on. Call me right back really quick. Let me just change something in a setting. I'll call you right back. Calling. And there we go. All right. It should work now, hopefully. All right, let's see if this works now. There we go. Now you appear on screen in my excellent.
Perfect.
So let me just save this preview scene. And Jacob, go ahead and say hi.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Great to be here. Looking forward to talking about the Austin Bold and the Beautiful. That's what I like to call them because it kind of works and it rhymes. But yeah, no, looking forward to that game as well as looking forward to the show.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to have a lot of guests today. Yes, Cisco, we have video. We're going to have, like I said, Mayra Olivarez. We're going to be talking about season tickets with her. I know there's been a lot of questions by the RGVFC fans in regards to that. There's been a lot of concerns in the previous years, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of address these issues directly with somebody from the organization. I know we've been talking many times throughout the show where it just seems like the organization, it seemed like they never listened to the concerns of the fans. And I think having them on live on the show, I think will help us them understand what we expect from them, from an organization, in order to make our game day experience a lot better.
Exactly. This is what we wanted from day one, especially given the fact that we had some problems basically leading up to this. We had a terrible sophomore season in the new stadium really for tickets, ticket sales in general, and the numbers were down, and that's not what you want for a pro club. We talk about it a lot here. It's not a right to have a team. So you look at it that way, now we might be able to get some answers.
Yeah. So she will be on in around 30 minutes, around 7:30. So we'll be taking a break really quickly before that, about 3-minute break. We're also going to have at around 8:30. We're going to have, like I said, Kit McConnico, who is the host of the Throw-In in Austin, Texas. He covers the Bold. He covers Austin FC. So it'll be interesting to ask him a couple of questions in regards to the Bold, who is going to be our rival for this Saturday. I know doing a little bit of research. They did play against UTRGV in the last couple of weeks, and they beat UTRGV 2-0. So it'll be interesting to see what he who covers this team more closely, what he thinks of their progression so far, if they're ready for the beginning of the USL Championship, and a couple other questions in regards to the Bold and this feud between the Bold and Austin FC, which we all know it's ridiculous, like how neither team has played an official match yet, and there's already like some sort of rivalry between them.
Yeah, I mean, it's USL and an MLS team.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they should obviously come together and make just one team. Yes, no one technically wants that, but at the same exact time, why are you going to have a feud? It's two soccer clubs in freaking Austin, Elroy, Texas. It couldn't be any better. Obviously, of course, it's still Austin, and obviously my sweater is A&M. So... yeah, it goes back to that way. This is a prime place for a soccer club in general to be in, and you've got two of them. That's the dream, in my opinion.
And we'll go a little bit into detail once we have Kit on. But I think if you ask me, I think how it all developed with Austin USL being announced way before this whole fiasco with Columbus Crew and Save the Crew, it seemed to me like Austin FC started off with the wrong foot when in Soccer USA, trying to get rid of one of the original MLS clubs just to bring into Austin when USL Austin had already launched and been officialized by United Soccer League, and it seemed to like kind of they felt threatened about it, so they tried to do everything for it to not happen. You might say it might be we're doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. We don't know. We can't really be the judge of that. All we know right now is that now they have two teams, and now it's going to be pretty much a survival of the fittest kind of thing. Which one will survive? And if you ask me right now, there's been a lot, just based on social media, there's been a lot more hype about Austin FC than the Austin Bold. And that's because the Austin Bold already has players. They're already in preseason. And Austin FC, we don't even know if they're going to be able to start by 2020.
Yeah, exactly. They had a much longer time to really even get ready, because we heard about Austin having a soccer club a while back due to the fact that the Columbus Crew were going to fold. And we constantly heard the Columbus Crew were going to fold and they're going to be moved to Austin. So that made Austin obviously go, well, not really go, but just take a step in the right direction to furthermore try and get players, a stadium, land, and all of that stuff. And so they were already in business. Now, Austin Bold, they've obviously, now, of course, both those teams, they have the time to still get those players before 2020 and all of that deal. But if they have to, once again, it couldn't be that bad for them to come together and create kind of a one-deal team for a while until both those clubs really get off the ground. Because, yes, you're going to have land and you're going to probably have a fantastic stadium, But in the long run, it might not succeed.
Yeah, but we'll talk more about that as we get closer to 8:30 the second hour of the show. I think for now we can kind of quickly talk about what's been going on currently in preseason. I know there's been a lot of there's been a veil over information coming out of Toro's land. Like the information is scarce. For example, last Saturday, the Toros played here in Houston. They played against Houston Baptist University. Now, the only thing that was ever released about that game was by the Toros Academy social media, their Twitter, their Facebook, and all they said was, they were congratulating Brandon Morales for getting a goal and an assist against the Huskies. From what we know, from what I was told, that match ended 5-0 in favor of the Toros. So there's been an improvement on this team. Like I said, details are scarce. I don't know who scored the rest of the goals. And like I mentioned last week, that information is probably isn't going to be released because of how many trialists are being used right now by the Toros. What I was told as well about this was that this RGVFC team that played against the Huskies actually had a couple of lower fringe Dynamo players with the Toros. Does that mean that Sam Junqua played? Chris Dunwell, or what's the name of the other draft pick for the Dynamo?
Oh gosh, that other draft pick. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head either.
Yeah,
because that one's pretty tough. But
what do you think? Does that mean that that those players are already playing? From what this was told to me, you think those players are already playing with the Toros?
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case, due to the fact that that's kind of how the MLS Super Draft has really come into effect. I've listened to Sirius XM FC during that week, and they talked about how that Super Draft really comes into effect. It's not like an NBA or really an NFL draft where let's say we need a center back. We can just grab one off the market that's going to be fantastic. No, you obviously need to train this player to be even much better so that he can even be ready for the MLS in that next step. I would not be shocked if he plays a good amount of games with the Toros this season. And if he's playing with the Toros already, that's fantastic. He's already getting that extra step in the right direction, in my opinion. So if that works, then we're in for not only a good Houston Dynamo team, but a good or even a great Toros team.
Yeah, definitely. I know from when we had our first episode of the year, when we had Coach Echeverry on, he was talking about that. Even though he says, it has to be kind of default mentality for a coach or for a team to say, hey, you know what, we're going to win the championship. To him, it's something that he wants to take seriously. Now, we see it last year how competitive he is, how serious he's taking this team, trying to find, make sure that the players are doing what they're supposed to do. If a player is slacking, he'll tell them, he's not sure, he won't sugarcoat it to his players. He wants this team to be competitive. The question here is if the Dynamo is willing to give him a competitive team. Now, we know that last year was a rebuild. This year, a lot of the players that were here last year are back this year. However, my biggest concern right now is, and I've said it before in other episodes, but it's the midfield. We lost Nico Perea. who was a starter for the Toros last year. We lost our captain, Todd Warden, to Portland Timbers too. This year, we're seeing good things out of Romilio Hernandez, which is fine. You know, in preseason, you know, he's showing that he's got what it takes to be a starter in the midfield so far. We need to see how he plays against another USL team this time. So the perfect opportunity to see what him and the trialist and everybody else is made of, it's going to be this Saturday against the Bold. Because here, with that match, we'll have a better understanding of how prepared they are to play in the USL. Because, yeah, you can play well against, you know, Dynamo second, third stringers. Okay, they're MLS, yeah. But it's the beginning. It was the beginning of preseason. Both teams weren't going to show 100% what they're made of because their fitness is not there yet. And the format was different. 30-minute sessions or something like that? Or whatever. So it's different. Then you're playing against UTRGV, which I understand. It's something that happens every year. It's very useful to kind of loosen up their legs. But you don't like Coach said before, there's a big difference between how college plays and how professionals play. Our first taste of professional soccer, even if it's preseason, but it's good, it'll be good preparation, is against Austin, the Austin Bold. Then, if I'm not mistaken, next week, you have to travel to San Antonio. And you're going to be playing at 1 in the afternoon in San Antonio. It's going to be in closed doors, which makes it a little better because you're not going to have the pressure from San Antonio fans. But right after that, right next week, you have your season opener against Tacoma Defiance. So we only have 2 weeks to see how these trialists fare, which ones are going to get signed, which ones are going to get cut. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that pans out. But so far, I think it's going to be in the beginning of the season. The midfield's going to be a struggle, trying to find who's going to pair well with Romilio.
Yeah, exactly. It's always an interesting thing to just really figure out who's going to be where, what this team is really going to be able to be capable of. Once again, we only know so much of what we can get because obviously we haven't seen the closed doors game. The only game that I've really watched this year from RGVFC with this team was the UTRGV game. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's a different atmosphere, or not really atmosphere, but it's just a different style of play because one is college and then another is
pro,
exactly. Well, I wouldn't really call it pro, but it's close. So, and so it brings you to what's going to happen to obviously the trialists because people get cut and things like you said. But now, of course, we're getting into this thing where it's kind of like a real season. You have Austin Bold, you have San Antonio, and then you travel once again to Tacoma, which is some place that actually the Toros haven't really been to, considering the fact that Seattle Sounders 2 played in Seattle for a bit.
I think last season they managed to play in Tacoma. Because last season they were still called Seattle Sounders 2, but they were already playing in Tacoma. They were playing in that baseball stadium.
Okay, that's why they were playing there. Got you. And so, yeah, if I was Coach Echeverry, yes, I'd just be looking basically at the midfield, who's going to really be able to pair up. Because if from what we're hearing is that we've got our attackers fine, And then our defense is pretty, well, I wouldn't call it stacked, but we've got the players for the defense. Now, of course, yes, we might not know who's going to start at goal at the beginning of the season, but now we're just basically focusing on the midfield. That's a good start. Mm-hmm. And, of course, if I was Coach Echeverri, I would have rather had the San Antonio FC game open to the San Antonio FC fans due to the fact, well, that's a little bit more preparation for the regular season. Do these players have the composure to really just calm their nerves even in the toughest of scenarios where they're being kind of hated on in a way?
Yeah.
Where they're being, I guess hated on is
heckled,
really,
where they're being
heckled. There you go.
Being heckled, they're being pressured to create mistakes, you know. The thing is like this isn't something that RGVFC can control. This isn't something Coach Echeverri can control. San Antonio FC just decided, hey, you know what? I think we should focus our main rivalry to the Austin Bold. Which makes sense because they're closer. There's in their eyes, you know, the Austin Bold is a closer fit to what they are than the Toros in their eyes. Not saying that's true.
Yes, because they'll never move up to the MLS. So,
Harry, if you're listening, burn. So
I mean, the Toros will probably never move up to the MLS too, but
neither is San Antonio.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Precourt. You weren't here last week, so quickly before we go on break, what were your thoughts on the match against UTRGV?
Well, from what I could see, it was obviously kind of a boring match, as preseason matches are sometimes, because you're just figuring out things. But from what I could see as well is that RGVFC, they kind of missed some opportunities that they could get and kind of lacked on defense for some of, I guess, the first half, aka the first two periods. The third period, they kind of fell into their element a bit. And, of course, letting up a goal isn't great, but at the same exact time, they can obviously learn from that. You're not going to be perfect, especially given the fact that you're going to put in most of your bench warmers too, because guess what? They're trialists once again. Just like you said before, you have those trialists, and so they haven't really played a lot, and it's going to be interesting. Of course, RGVFC, in my opinion, should have won that game fair and square given the fact that UTRGV hadn't played a soccer game in over 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Which is more than, I guess, RGVFC kind of. But overall, it was decent. I liked the coach's reaction from the game as well. He did say, yes, we just need to attack more, which, once again, that might become a problem in the 2019 season. Hopefully that doesn't happen, as in RGVFC is able to score more, but that's one thing that I know that they've probably been working on up to the Austin Bold game.
Now, you have to also keep into consideration this, is that from what I was told from other people who were there at the match, it seemed like Coach Echeverri kind of mixed up in each of the periods that they played. They kind of mixed up starters and trialists. Kind of get the trialist acclimatized to playing alongside. Also, we didn't have Malik Foster. We didn't have. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kyle Adams was not at the UTRGV game, correct? Or was
correct? Yes.
So we didn't have
Kyle
Malik
Adams.
Foster.
I don't believe was, but Connor Donovan was and not suited up.
Yes. So Connor Donovan was not suited up. Kyle Adams was at the Dynamo. Malik Foster was with the Dynamo. And Nico Corti was with the Dynamo. So you're talking about three players in the defensive end that were not playing, that are starters, that are considered starters with RGVFC. So it was a good opportunity for these trialists, for these younger players, to kind of get used to playing in the match at HEB Park. I still don't think that we'll be seeing the Toros' full potential until we get these players back. Now, I can't say why, or I don't know why Connor Donovan wasn't suited up. That's probably something that hasn't been announced publicly yet. I don't know. But I trust Coach and this process that this team is going to do really good come the beginning of the season. So, Cisco, he asks, can y'all real quick run through the list of names in camp? Cisco, I'm going to disappoint you, but the way USL works in regards to trialists for the most part, RGVFC is not allowed to mention the names of trialists. They can mention the names of players that have already been signed under USL contracts, but they cannot officially name trialists. Now, there's some other teams that might kind of get away with it. I know I just saw a tweet. I forgot what USL. Fresno FC. They gave their starting 11 and they mentioned the names of their trialists, and they kind of put like a T on them to denote that they're trialists. But I know RGVFC for the last years, ever since they started playing, they followed that rule, which is a USL mandate, that trialists that have not yet signed with the team cannot be named in, for example, by social media, or actually even with starting 11 papers that they give to the media. So I know it sucks. I don't agree with the USL in regards to that. But I do kind of get the point why, because they're trialists, you don't know if they're actually going to make it to the team or not. So we're going to be going on a quick little break because we should be having Mayra Olivarez coming in. Oh, that should actually be her. So let's go ahead and skip the break and let's go straight into this. Hello, welcome to Down in the Valley. Mayra? Mayra, can you hear me? Oh, now I know why. There we go. Mayra, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Thank you. So my name is Edson. I know I've been in contact with you throughout this week. I'm extremely glad that you're able to come on the show today. Also along with me is my co-host Jacob Young.
Hi, Jacob.
Hello.
Oh, come on, man. All right. So first of all, like I said, we thank you for coming on with Down in the Valley. I know this is something, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, this is something we have been wanting to do for a while because of the amount of concerns, of tweets, of comments on Facebook and Instagram that we've been seeing of maybe people that aren't understanding how season tickets work or want to know more information about them. So, like I said, we're glad to have you on, and looking forward to hearing your answers to all of this. And hopefully, you guys that are watching us right now might get your questions answered. So, first of all, Mayra, it's preseason right now for the Toros. You know, we're starting to get the match against UTRGV. We're starting to get people, coming in and starting to warm up to the hype for the Toros going into the 2019 USL Championship season. How are you feeling ahead of the season for the team?
Well, we first of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me on this podcast. I'm so excited to hear that the Valley is really expanding their media reach and their social network, and just really reaching out to the fans in so many different ways. It's a really exciting time for sports and for media in this market. So I think it's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But we're feeling pretty fantastic. I mean, we're not gonna. I think to start at the very beginning, we've taken a lot of time to really listen to the market and to the fans. I think when we first started this endeavor, we did it first and foremost because, the Valley has, soccer is iconic, not just here, but globally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, we missed the mark a little bit in terms of really and truly understanding the soccer fan from South Texas and how different it is from some of the other markets. And so we did a lot of learning last year. We did a lot of listening last year. It wasn't obviously the season that we had hoped for, but I think at the end of the day, it was very rewarding because we did learn a lot from it. And I think that there are no seasons that you could say, you know what, it wasn't a great season. If you didn't learn something from it, then I would truly say that it wasn't a good season. So, we've really spent the entire off season is really, really connecting with our season ticket members, with our potential audience, consumers. We did a lot of research. We really, really talked to a lot of different groups. We really wanted to go out this year and really, just go back to basics, which was making sure that we were going to have a season that was inclusive of family, of fun, and affordability. And that's really what we're targeting this year. That is our main focus.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, like I said, there had been a lot of concerns throughout the past couple of years, and we're going to be touching upon that later on. So you're speaking about the affordability for coming to this season. What kind of pricing is available for RGVFC season tickets for 2019?
So, in our initial seasons, we had, all these different sections, and really what we figured out is that we were really missing a general admission section.
Mm-hmm.
So we really, really expanded that this year. We didn't really have that before. Now we will. And this is creating a really affordable opportunity. So there really isn't anybody who can afford it. So I'll give you an example. So regardless of whatever package you buy, in terms of your season ticket, everybody, regardless of what section that you purchase, everybody's going to get included in their season tickets the option to purchase playoff tickets. Everybody gets the flexible ticket exchange. Everybody gets the amazing 20% discount at the Toros team store. And of course, a ticket to each of the 17 Toros home games, a pre-sale to other events at HB Park, which we are planning, a personal account executive, and an official 2019 season RGV Toros scarf. So everybody walks away with something, regardless of how much you're spending.
Mm-hmm.
So our general admission season tickets will start at $99 for 17 games.
Okay.
And that averages out to a single game ticket price of $7, which is the lowest that we've ever offered in terms of season tickets. So we're really, really excited about that.
Mm-hmm. And what section? Excuse me. What section would be considered general admission? Would it be by the bar, or behind the goals?
Nope.
Or is that?
Nope. Now everybody will have a place to sit. So the general admission section will be on the east side, and it will take up several different areas on the north side of the east part of the stadium, and probably like 3 different sections of the south part of the east side of the stadium. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So it's quite a large area, and I can send you, or I can email you a copy, and you can share that with your fans as well on your Facebook page.
Sure, I'd greatly appreciate it. What else
So that's different. In the past, the GA section, you're right. It was over by the bar area, and you had to stand and to watch the game. Wasn't necessarily a horrible place since you were close to the bar, but I mean, it was ideal. We had plenty of seating. There was no reason why we shouldn't have, a general admission that somebody could go and just, have a seat to sit down with their kids and eat or whatever it is. And now we've opened up that option. So we're really, really excited about that.
Mm-hmm. And
go ahead.
And what about the other sections that are available?
So we'll have a GS Premium, and those are located on the north and south corners of the west side of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And those ticket pricing averages per person per game is at like $16. So again, that area also drops by a tremendous amount as well. And on top of all those things that I mentioned, you also get a season ticket shirt along with the scarf as well.
Okay.
So we weren't really adding all of these extras in here, and we really, really stepped up the stuff this year to make it more enticing for the season ticket members.
Mm-hmm.
The third area is the premium pricing. This is also just a few dollars more than the GS. This is located on the east side of the stadium in the center. Mm-hmm. And also that pricing is averaging about $25 per person. And you get all of the above, along with also a soccer cap, I'm sorry.
All right.
The last two sections that we get are more of our premier sections. Those are both located in the west side of the stadium. And those are averaging between $25 per person per game to $36 per person per game. And those include an official tour, along with the season ticket member, the shirt, the cap, and the scarf. You also get an official tour jersey with your name in the back, VIP early entry into the members only areas, and special event invitations. And then, of course, we have our VIP section that also includes all of the above things that I said for free. And along with that you also get the parking pass and the in-seat service.
Wow, that's a lot.
And that one is averaging about $36 per person per game, which is a really, really great price as well.
Oh, definitely. You're telling me all of these per game basis prices. I'm like, wow, like there's really if now that you think of it, you actually see, you're just starting to see like a value to coming to these tickets. And that was the next question or concern that I had, that social media had, is because I'd been talking to some previous RGVFC season ticket holders, including my parents, who bought season tickets in 2017, which was when the HEB Park was inaugurated. But they didn't renew for next season because they felt that there was an apparent lack of value in season ticket experiences. They felt that they didn't get much out of it. They also felt like they were paying more per game with the season tickets than what you were actually paying on a game by game basis. So a lot of people dropped out of that commitment, you can say. And what from what you're telling me, your sales department, is starting to address these concerns, and I'm really, really glad. Now, my other question, and this has something to go along with this, is I know, for example, with other teams like Dynamo or other USL teams, their teams create season ticket members only exclusive events, whether it's jersey night or meet the team night. Is there any plans for this year or in the future to create these kind of events for RGVFC season ticket holders?
Yeah, actually, there will definitely be more events. We will have a season opener special event as well as an end of the year. We will be planning some surprise dinner events as well, and we have a lot in the works. And I'll go through a little bit more of those as we've got a tremendous amount of things to go over. But yes, we have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that my audience and anybody out there on Twitter and on Facebook that follows us would be actually any of our fans that are out there that follow RGVFC, would be happy to know more about that when more details are finalized about these events, because that was one of the biggest.
So a few of the ones I can tell you about right now, and they'll start going up on the website. We'll have 16 nights for sure. So we'll have Bark in the Park, which we did a little bit of a taste of it last year just to see how it would work, and it was well received. People loved it. So we're going to go all out. This is going to be a fantastic event. People love their dogs. And so Subaru is going to, and Bird Ogden, the Bird Ogden group is going to be working and sponsoring that, I believe. As well as HEB will be working with us on that. So we have the big Bark in the Park event that will be coming up. We also have Superhero Night, Military Night. We have Mascot Mania, which we're really excited about. Noche Latino, which we're planning also like a Michelada festival with that. And then we have our fan appreciation as well. So we have 16 nights, and then we are planning at least minimum of 5 dates for fireworks. Those dates aren't finalized yet, but they will start after Memorial Day, I'm sorry. And then we are also working on a summer concert series. So we will be doing one concert, a couple of concerts before, like during the pregame time of the games, and then we will be doing 2 after. So we'll be working with different radio stations across the market. So we'll have 2 Spanish format bands and 2 English format bands. At least that's the plan as of right now. So that's something different that we're going to be adding. We're going to be utilizing the amphitheater that's in the back. So if you come in, you have a ticket, you can also go to that concert to get into that concert, into that event as well.
That sounds like really, really fun events. Like, I know, like you said, Bark in the Park was pretty popular. I know a couple of friends of mine who I know had not gone to a game before, went to Bark in the Park, and they started going, after to more games. Cisco's a Dynamo fan. He's like, I'm getting jealous. It's okay, Cisco. It's okay. Toros have to be better with the Dynamo at something.
Yeah, we're really excited about Bark in the Park. That's definitely one that's close to all of our hearts. Everybody loves their dog.
Yeah, especially in the Valley. But what about, because, it's a consistent, like I mentioned right now, a lot of people feel like there's a disconnect between players and fans. So is there I'm going to repeat the question, is there going to be something related to meet the team night that's not, fan appreciation night? Because I know, for example, like the Dynamo, what they do is like they'll have a night dedicated for season ticket members, and they'll be at Dave and Buster's, and they'll take pictures with the players, sign autographs by the players, and play video games with the players. Is that something that has been talked about with the organization, or can we not expect that until maybe later in the future?
No, there definitely will be those events. I don't have those events ironed down yet in terms of what dates are going to be. I know the very first thing that we're going to be doing is the jersey unveiling. That should be happening within the next week or so. Yes. So that will be something that we'll be inviting media to, and our season ticket members will be invited. And there will definitely be coaches and players, we anticipate will be there for that unveiling. And then we'll have other dates that follow. So we'll have that information as soon as possible for you.
Really really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to that. I know Jacob right now. He was extremely ecstatic once you mentioned about the jersey unveiling, because we were we honestly we were scared because in the previous years there had been nothing of that sort. So guys, from what you hear, there is going to be an improvement. You gotta trust that they're heading in the right direction. Like she said, they've heard some of our feedback, whether it's from social media, from us here at Down in the Valley, or any other medium of communication. They are listening, and they are trying to make things better. So going on to my next question. You have UTRGV close by there, the university. There's a lot of, young people that love soccer, but aren't necessarily connected or don't know yet about RGVFC Toros. Is there something like special for them? Special, I guess, marketing or special pricing for students in order to attract that market?
Well, we thought about, honestly, we really thought about it. Now it's not just UCRGV, but you have we have Texas A&M, and we have South Texas College, and we have Texas, there's a lot of now Our Lady of the Lake as well as here. So we have a lot of different universities as well as technical institutes. There's a tremendous amount. So when we decided to go with the GA pricing, that was pretty much what we kept in mind, was the students as well. So we thought about it. We're going to do the student. It's going to be the same price. We wanted to give the Valley one of the very best price, so there was no confusion. So the GA pricing really does cover that. It covers all of those categories, to be perfectly honest with you.
All right.
So we felt like, that was we didn't want to create too much confusion, and it's like, oh, well, no, they're getting a better price or whatever. The GA is just a great deal. It's a great, great area, great suite, and great benefits that are included. So I really feel like it's very affordable for the students as well.
Seems fair. I know because I'm also with Generation Orange, which is a Dynamo podcast, and we've had Jay Adelberg, who works as the director of sales with the Dynamo. He mentioned something about that, about making it simple, affordable, but not pretty much giving away tickets for free, because that's usually never going to work. So we're starting to see that influence of keeping it simple, fun, and affordable. So I really, like I said, really commend you all for that. Something else that was
I think one of the things that you're going to love about the Generation Orange, that whole concept is truly resonating with us. And when you see the new marketing campaign, you're truly going to see it. You're going to truly embrace that whole Generation Orange. We're excited for you guys to see the new campaign that's coming out. So you'll get a little bit of a taste of that coming really soon.
Looking forward to that. Something else, going on to the next one, something else that was also brought up on the Generation Orange podcast, it was related to the Dynamo, but I think it also applies to RGV, and it's something that Jay Adelberg brought up. He said it's about how the responsibility of everybody, the team, the players, coaches, the fans, the front office, how it's the responsibility of every one of these people to help combat issues with game time experiences. As part of the sales team, what are some things that the fans who are listening right now can do to help the team drive sales and create an improved atmosphere that they seem to want at HEB Park?
I think, that when we went to ask, the consumers and our fans and those that were coming to some of the Mexico-friendly games and weren't coming to our games, one of the things that we kept hearing over and over again was that we were missing the tradition of soccer. Mm-hmm. And we were missing, the group, the fan clubs of the actual soccer team. So, I mean, the biggest thing that we want people to do is to join a Stampede, you know. And so we have also offered the current Stampede a great deal as well, that if you join with them, we've got a special $99 season ticket membership, okay? And with that membership to the Stampede, you get a season ticket member shirt, you get a cap, and you get a scarf, and you become one of our brand ambassadors. You become an influencer. And that is really what's going to take us to the next level as a team, is having those groups that are truly leading the charge for us. No pun intended.
I understood that reference.
You know, I think the other thing we were missing that we also, and this is part of marketing, and sales and marketing, we work really closely together, but one of the other things we were missing was a street team. So we're going back to basics. And so we are going to have a street team. You're going to see a Toro little mobile vehicle that's going to be running from area to area and trying to get, you know, invite people from different areas, from the universities to some of the pubs to, you know, some of the taquerias and all over.
Yeah.
Just truly reaching out and personally inviting people to our games. You know, we're going back to grassroots.
Yeah. That was actually, and Jacob's not going to let me lie. And Ray, if you're listening, you're not going to let me lie either. That is one of the things that we had continuously been talking about on the show, which was an apparent lack of what's the word I'm looking for? That the team going out to the community to get the brand known. I felt like before I moved to Houston, because I'm from the Valley, you know, I would talk to people about the Toros and they're like, wait, what? Who are they? Or like, what? We had a stadium? And this was in 2017. And so one of the things,
somebody told me that not long ago.
you know, yeah. And so one of the things that we were talking about is like, you know, there was a missed opportunity with our sponsors, whether it's RGVFC sponsors, just to clarify, you know, with Bert Ogden, with Whataburger, you know, having the team go out there, promote themselves with the sponsors. I don't know, like having a cardboard cutout of Chuy Enriquez at every HEB, you know, or something to get the brand known. And you know, hearing this, you know, it's a step in the right direction to alleviating that concern of mine, and kind of it really leaves me really, you know, calm that this change is being put in the right hands.
I mean, honestly, it's a tremendous amount of work, and I'm not saying that we're going to get everything 100% right. You know, we're here to learn, we're here to grow every single year. But I feel like, you know, we have a lot of, you know, we're putting our best foot forward to make sure that we are, if nothing else, that we're connecting with people. And that's the biggest part of it all. If you're not connecting, then they won't come back.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel, you know, Jacob, we've been talking about this as well. Like, it feels like for some reason, like to me, it feels like the people of the Valley don't consider the Toros the Valley's team. And I think this is pretty much the bridge that will unite community and team together, you know, for people to be proud to say, I'm a Toros fan. This team really represents. Because believe me, I have seen, you know, these comments on Facebook where they tend to be very vicious. But I've seen comments saying, you know, this isn't the Valley's team because there's no players from the Valley, or they'll come up with any excuse to say that this isn't the Valley's team. But
well, we had a great one last year.
Of course, you got Brandon Morales.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't think took the right approach to brand him and to take ownership of him. And, you know, that's a whole other deal. That's on the marketing side. You know, a couple of other things I wanted to share with you that we're doing is that we're going to have another price point that we feel like is really family friendly is the 4 for $44. So for 4 tickets, for $44, you get the tickets, premier tickets, and meals to the game.
Oh.
So all 4 members of your family get food, get fed, get, you know, a meal, chips, and a drink for each one. And you can't even go to the movies for like 4 people for like $70, $80.
No.
Expensive.
No, and yeah, go ahead.
And also, we'll have Toro's Kids meals as well with a little prize in the box. So, again, we're just going back to the experience of coming out and just having a fantastic time.
Before we go on to the last question, Jacob, you have anything you want to ask or any comments you want to make?
I mean, no, it's just, this is fantastic. It is the step in the right direction for sure. Whether it succeeds or fails for this first year, that's huge. I'm just glad to hear that they're taking the steps necessary for being a known soccer club and just for really listening to the fans. That's the biggest thing. We thought for the longest time we're not being listened to, or that's how it felt. And so now that we kind of know this, it's amazing. It's perfect. This is what we need to have a successful soccer team too. So it's great.
I also want to share with you a few things that I haven't, I want to make sure that we include in this podcast is that, we have a lot of people in South Texas that love soccer. They felt that they couldn't afford all the amenities. We recognized also that they wanted the kids to have something to do during the game to keep them entertained. So we've also are creating an amazing kids zone area that's kid friendly, place for the kids to play. That's only a few feet from the live soccer game action. We felt this is a really important component, and also to keep the kids activated and make sure that they are building this healthy fan base from desde chiquititos. We wanted them to be fans starting when they're young, so that when they grow up, they continue to have these traditions with their families and come back. Like we see in major baseball parks and football clubs all over the country. Service is also a really important component, to ensure that our season ticket members have an amazing experience. Whether it's through shorter lines, more food vendor options, more bars, parking opportunity. We just want the experience overall for service to just be outstanding. We want everybody to leave the park and say, I can't wait till next game. And that's a big, big priority for us. And we've been working on this for a long, long time. So we're ready for this season, and we're really excited about it.
Good. I really enjoyed listening to all of this. For the final question before we let you go, Mayra, like I said, we really appreciate all this information that you're telling us. But my last question is, how can fans purchase season tickets? Who can they talk to get more information in case they missed the show or something? Where can they get more information? Who can they talk to?
They can reach out to 956-56-ARENA, or they can send me an email at Olivarez with a Z at birdogdenarena.com. And I will also send you all of our information, and if you want, you can put it up on your Facebook page or on your Twitter account, and they can reach out to me directly there.
Well, Mayra, we really appreciate everything for coming on to the show, for telling us all this information. I'm pretty sure whoever is listening right now and is an RGVFC Toros fan is probably feeling really alleviated by the measures that are being taken going forward into the 2019 season. And we'll, like I said, we'll continue to do our work and sharing this information, continuing to covering this team, how it should be. And looking forward to 2019. Hopefully we can be back in playoffs and continue to grow this brand, and hopefully in the future, we can get a full HB Park. That's my biggest dream right now, having HB Park full to the brim week in and week out.
Yours and mine both.
Well, Mayra, thank you so much for calling us. Hopefully we can have you back on in a future episode.
Anytime.
I really appreciate. Jacob, anything you want to say?
Of course, yeah. Just thank you for coming on and explaining everything to us and the fans. It's been a fantastic time hearing all that stuff from you, and yeah, we just look forward to this 2019 season, and we hope it's a great one too.
And thank you for the job that you guys do. I know it's not easy. Being with the podcast, we realize that this isn't just a 9-to-5 job. This is a lot of hours that you got to put in, a lot of research, and sometimes it's not really appreciated by the fans. And I hope by having you on, people understand that yes, they are listening to us. So thank you so much, Mayra. Have a good night, and hope to see you come the home inaugural game versus was it Fresno, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Well, guys, come on, guys. Come on, chat. I need some feedback, guys. What do you guys think about all this information? We got some exclusive stuff out here, like with let's be honest, Jacob. We all thought there wasn't going to be a jersey reveal.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we just got confirmation that there is going to be something like that. When it's going to be, hopefully we get some more details in the future, and I will be as soon as I get any information about that, I will be posting on our social media, which I forgot to say at the beginning of the show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram at DownInTheRGV, facebook.com/DownInTheRGV. And also be sure to follow our podcasts. They are on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and of course, you have our video archives of the streams here on YouTube. So we're going to be going on a quick little break. When we come back, we will be talking more about some other news regarding RGVFC. We'll continue to talk about preseason, and then at 8:30, we'll have Kit McConnico, on the show to talk more about Austin Bold. So don't go away just yet. We will be right back.
Reaching out, and my heart is with you. So much in between, things we've never seen. You're a mirage that my mind can't see through. Are you here with me? One day we can see. And all my life, unbroken ways, but I know that time makes ways. But I know that time makes ways. And make a way. All my life, unbroken ways, but I know that time makes ways. Yeah, I know that time makes ways.
All right, guys. So welcome back to Down in the Valley. I was about to say Hey, Mr. Toro. I was about to say Generation Orange. Sorry, guys. Welcome back to Down in the Valley. Welcome to the second part of the show. We had a good first half of the show. We had a lot of information coming in from Mayra Olivarez, the director of sales of RGVFC. Some exclusives. If you guys are barely coming in and missed it, be sure to check it out on our archives and of course on all of our podcasts. Be sure to also check out our friends at the Beautiful Game Network. They're the people who make the podcasting, Google Podcasts, and iTunes and Stitcher possible. Big shout out to Mike Sparks. Be sure to check out their website at bgn.fm. Follow them on Twitter at the BGNFM. Be sure to also follow BGN Written, where Ray writes his articles called The Orange Blocks. Jacob, are you still writing some? I think who were you writing for last season?
Last season I was writing for Last Word on Sports. I may start going back with them, but at the time being, I am with the Monitor. So once high school sports, I think, kind of settles down, which of course I'm just getting ahead of myself, but I might be able to write some about the Toros in the Monitor. So that might be cool if that happens.
So guys,
but for now.
Guys, be sure to congratulate Jacob right there on the chat. I mean, we've seen him grow, tremendously during his tenure here at Down in the Valley, and we can only hope for him to continue to grow professionally in the world of sports journalism, specifically dealing with soccer. So be sure to no, I don't want any virus and death protection. Go away. So another thing that I do want to talk about today, because we were talking about the game against Houston Baptist University, had to deal with UIL. Oh my God, I can't even speak today. USL rules regarding trialists, and I just feel like, as far as USL, I think they need to be a little bit more transparent when it comes to preseason. Give the teams a little bit of wiggle room to keep the fans informed about what's going on. Right now, I feel like the media departments at the USL teams are really constricted to what they can and cannot say during preseason. And I think that will help out to build up the hype for a team coming once the season opener begins. Because we want to know, okay, who is this player, who scored, who he is, so they can form like a bond. Oh, like, this guy's good, even though they're not signed. They're like, yeah, man, I hope they sign him. And we saw it with the Rowdies. The Rowdies, I don't know how they're able to get away with it, but they, kept up the hype for one of their trialists. I'm guessing because he was a local. He did so well, and all of the Rowdies fans were asking for this player to be signed until he was actually signed by the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And I think we need that kind of hype. We need that kind of eagerness to be allowed for the Toros coming, because it'll only help with momentum and getting more people up in the stands.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, what probably helped was a lot of the games that they had played were, even in preseason, were probably a lot more public than, let's say, RGVFC or even San Antonio's games. And so if you think about it that way, that's perfect. And maybe, of course, they had seen him somewhat in maybe Tulsa University's soccer team or something around that sort, because if he's a local, that's great. And I mean, it's the same thing, just like just like she said, we didn't really take advantage of locking down Brandon Morales last year to really get everyone behind this local kid that's actually really talented and most likely will be playing for the bigger club, Houston Dynamo. And so if that happens, if we can get someone a lot like him to really rally around just like that, that's perfect. Even a kid like Chuy Enriquez, we can really rally behind for this Toros team, just due to the fact that Chuy's had, experience in Liga MX play, kind of with the under 15s or the under 18 teams.
He was the under 20s for Xolos de Tijuana. And I know Aldo Quintanilla also had experience with Tigres, with Santos, with Querétaro's under 20s. Carlos says that Jets flag hurts me. Well, I can't do much about it. I mean, I can't just blur out the Jets. But then again, I'm pretty sure if I had a Patriots flag back there, that would probably cause you a heart attack or something. But we're not here to talk about the NFL. We're here to talk about USL and the Toros. See, I don't know if I should say this, because I know it's been made public by the player.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we talked about Aldo Quintanilla, and it appears he's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, exactly. When Ray and I were at the UTRGV soccer game as well, we didn't see Aldo Quintanilla out there as well. So speculation is obviously he must be hurt, whether it's a knee injury, an ankle injury, things like that. We should see him back probably, if not the beginning of the season, maybe mid-season. Of course, we don't know. We can only speculate and hope that, obviously, Aldo Quintanilla, if he is in fact hurt, or even maybe with the Houston Dynamo, then hopefully we can get him back in RGV soon. Of course, we wish him the best, whether he's playing or even hurt. So it just, hopefully, obviously, things will work out for him.
The reason I mention it is because I know a lot of people who are going to the games are going to be asking, well, where's Aldo? Or where is this player? Where's this player? And I think just pretty much that right now Aldo is not available to play, and just keep an eye out on that. Like you said, hopefully he'll be back soon and to play in this 2019 season, because we really want this team to have our best players playing week in and week out in the USL Championship. But we know that Aldo Quintanilla is one of our best strikers. Before Carlos Esmal came into the scene, which he is back. Plus, we also have Malik Foster. We have Chuy Enriquez. We now have Romilio. We have Brandon as well. And hopefully we can get some good trialists out there, to create that competition and make sure that our starters, don't get laid back and like, oh, well, I can do whatever, because my starting position is pretty much a done deal. So we hoped we can get a competitive team. And I know Coach said it last season. He said it along the lines of like, because I know we were talking about the goalkeepers in that instance. It was our first interview with Coach Echeverri last season. He said like he wants it to be where like I want to have a difficult time deciding who's going to be starting each game. Yeah. That's what he wants from this team, and I hope he can get that, because all that helps out the competitiveness. Callo says Dynamo legend Aldo Quintanilla. He scored our Open Cup goals. We dedicate this. Oh, no, that's me saying it, but we dedicate this Open Cup championship to Aldo Quintanilla.
Yeah. And, I mean, you said it right there. We need a competitive team. Look at what happened, and you brought up kind of Houston Dynamo there, but look at what happened to Houston Dynamo for some of the season. We had Mauro Manotas kind of safe and secure in his own position. We really didn't have anyone that was really attacking that position. I say we, but obviously Houston Dynamo really didn't have anyone trying to fight for that position or something of that sort. And so you saw Mauro Manotas kind of course, back off, and that kind of caused a problem. Yes, of course, you can't have one player on a soccer team do all the work, but at the same exact time, we saw him just not perform as well as we did before. Basically, he had that kind of slump in a way. So we need that competitiveness. And as long as we can get a deep roster, that's going to help as well, because most likely a lot of them will be pulled for Open Cup due to the fact that we've talked about it before, the CONCACAF Champions League and U.S. Open Cup plus MLS. Guess what? Those MLS players are going to be dead somewhat. And, of course, one competition that doesn't necessarily matter too much but kind of matters now, since obviously Houston has won it, is going to be the FA Cup of America or the Open Cup. But, yeah, you see, it's basically the FA Cup of America.
Yeah. Which has been around longer than the FA Cup.
Yes, it has.
So that cup is very traditional, and I don't understand why some teams don't take it seriously. But what I do want to point out about that is, we have mentioned this before. Just call it the U.S. Federation Cup. You ain't wrong, Callo. But I do want to mention is that now that from what we've seen from the Dynamo roster being built during this offseason, it seems like the depth problem that we had last season has been kind of alleviated for this season. What does this mean? This means good news for RGVFC fans. Why? Because now the Dynamo's not going to have to need to pull up players from the USL as much as they did, like, let's say, for example, okay, so I was wrong, Callo. FA Cup started in 1871. Lost my train of thought. Okay, so I was talking about, so they won't have to pull up players from the USL because, for example, in 2017, we had a limited roster because the Dynamo was in the rebuilding phase, right? So they called up Kevin Garcia, they called up Charlie Ward, they called up Memo, they called up Taylor Hunter, I think, and some other players, were called up and given Dynamo first team contracts. They didn't play. I don't know. At first I was like really mad, especially having to do with Charlie Ward not getting minutes since he was a fan favorite at RGVFC. He was never given an opportunity to come back down and continue his development. But now we're seeing, for example, all these ex-RGVFC players, coming and going with other teams. Charlie Ward, he's a good guy. I really appreciate the times that we chatted and the friendship, But like Sean said, Sean Ringrose said, the fact that he cannot stay in one team in the USL. I mean, he went with the Dynamo. Wasn't even taken into consideration by Wilmer Cabrera. He goes to San Antonio. He doesn't get a lot of minutes in San Antonio. Is now with Ottawa Fury. Kyle Murphy as well. Kyle Murphy didn't even make it to the Dynamo. We wanted him to stay with RGVFC because he was one of the good players in that 2017 season. He goes to San Antonio as well. Doesn't get a lot of minutes either. He's now with Loudoun United, which is DC United's affiliate in the USL. Loudoun is that League One or is that Championship?
From what it sounded like, it seems like it's League One. I don't know that for sure, but once again, it sounds like it's League One.
Loudoun United is no, they're USL Championship.
Oh.
So, but the point is that maybe it's not. Maybe it was that the Dynamo were correct all along, and that these players won't be more than USL caliber players. And we all know from talking with Sean, and from the interviews that Matt Jordan has had with Glenn Davis on Soccer Matters here in Houston, is that the Dynamo are looking for players that will have a future in MLS, whether it's depth or will actually fight for a starting position in the first team and have them in RGVFC. They don't want just USL caliber players. They want players that have potential to make it in MLS. Sure, that doesn't help with people falling in love with their players. Creating legends. Like other clubs where they'll have like your Francesco Totti's, players that are being around the club in a long time. But I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles with RGVFC. And I feel like we've gotten to a point, speaking of myself, that we kind of like, okay, I guess that's the way it is. We're gonna have to deal with it and just enjoy having these players, for the time that they're gonna be here. I mean, just recently, like I said, we lost Captain Todd Warden. The worst part is Warden is gone, and I had planned to give him a poster of the wallpaper that Akianime did for me with about Captain Toro, Captain Warden, and I never got a chance to give it to him. So now I have that memory of. All right, guys. But that's pretty much the point. We're gonna have to get used to this. Gotta take advantage of when the time that Chuy Enriquez is gonna be here, that Carlos Esmal is going to be here, that the Nico Corti, Connor Donovan, Kyle Adams, which I think those are gonna be the players that are gonna be considered the fan favorites per se, especially Chuy, because from we've seen from Chuy, like. He is someone that loves to interact with fans at the games, So I think he plays for the fans. The way he is, how agile he is, his style of play, kind of, I don't want to say show offy, but he's somebody that plays for the stands. So it's gonna be fans are gonna go. They're gonna watch Chuy Enriquez because he's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, exactly. You said it perfectly. We need, basically the players that have left and not left to an MLS team, they've left to another USL team. Put it perfectly right. Those aren't the players that Wilmer Cabrera wanted, or basically players that were going to make it in the MLS. Yeah. Now, the names that, of course, you mentioned, like the Chuy Enriquez, Aldo Quintanillas and even maybe Brandon Morales will most likely make it to the MLS. And we only have so much time with these players, given the fact that they, for instance, they could be here for half of this season and be gone in the MLS for good.
Now
and of course, I mean, just things like that because they're actually good. So you put that together, it's great. Yes, they will be playing for the Toros for a bit, but of course, yes, you make those memories, but it's just how it's going to go for this whole, not just career, but this whole team's federation in a way.
And think about this as well, guys that are listening to us right now and the show. One of the biggest gripes that we had in 2017 was exactly that they called up all these players for the Dynamo first team, never played with the Dynamo, but never got sent down. Last year, we had Connor Donovan sign a MLS contract, right? He didn't play much with the Dynamo, but he was actually allowed to come down, continue to develop here, and play with RGVFC. Because I feel like they realize that what good does it do for the Dynamo to have all these players available with the first team? They're not going to be getting minutes. When you play them, whether it's in the Dynamo Charities Cup or in the Open Cup or whatever, they're going to be rusty, you know? So might as well take advantage of the Toros being there, send them down, play a couple of games there, see how they continue to develop. When you need them, then call them up. You know, and I think that's what the Dynamo are going to be doing right now. So, gotta trust this process. I know there's still been a lot of talk of people that want independence from the Dynamo. I think you guys have to understand things are heading in the right direction. It might not be as fast as you want it to be, you know, but think of it the other way. If we were to become independent, how are we going to field teams? Who's going to be doing our scouting? Who's going to be our coach? Who's going to pay for all of this? So we will go ahead and leave you with that because we have Kit McConnico just calling in right now. So welcome to Down in the Valley, Kit. Is this you?
This is me.
How are you doing, Kit?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on and talk about the Austin Bold because I know it's been Austin as a soccer city has kind of been in the pretty much under the eyes of most of U.S. soccer fans, whether it's with the creation of the Bold and playing at the Circuit of the Americas, this whole little rivalry with Austin FC, and we'll go ahead and talk about this later on. But more importantly, the fact is that this new team, the Austin Bold, is going to be our rival this Saturday against the Toros down in Rio Grande Valley at HEB Park. And I know a lot of people, since this team is so new and really there hasn't been a lot of talk about them when it comes to like their rosters and things like that. A lot of people are pretty curious about what we can expect out of the Austin Bold. So, like I said, we're glad to have you on. I'm pretty sure you've since you are from Austin, you have a lot more in-depth knowledge than us about the Bold. I do want to present before we go ahead and start. I do want to present to you my co-host Jacob Young. So let's go ahead and get this underway, Kit. So first of all, before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, gentlemen, again, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. I am a native Austinite. I'm a fifth-generation Texan, so I grew up playing soccer. I love the city. I love the state. I'm thrilled to be on with you. I'm very happy that there's professional soccer back in Austin. It's long overdue, and I'm excited for the season. I think the Bold are going to put a good product out on the field. I think it's going to be an exciting team. And I look forward to how they're going to perform down in the Valley against the Toros this weekend, and then obviously for the season, the regular season, just right around the corner.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned about there was a hiatus of professional soccer in Austin. You had the Austin Aztecs kind of fold the year before the Toros became official with the USL back in 2016. Why do you think was the reason for the Austin Aztecs not being very popular with Austinites?
That's a very good question. I think initially the team was doing well. I think the team was making headway. There was a near catastrophic Memorial Day flood here in Austin, which washed out their home field. They were forced to move to a different venue about 15 miles north of where they were playing. So that was difficult. As you guys, I'm sure, have heard, traffic in Austin is not the best. Our roadways are ill-equipped to handle the amount of people that have moved here recently. So that was an issue. People from South Austin and Central Austin simply not going to the new venue when they moved. And there were issues with the way they reached out to the Austin community, specifically the Hispanic community. I think that was lacking. They didn't do as good a job reaching out to the Hispanic community as they could have. I think that is something the Bulls will look to rectify. I think they've already done a good job of that. But the Aztecs were Austin's team, and it's difficult to have lost that team because if you know the Aztecs 1.0, as we colloquially refer to them here in Austin, that is now Orlando City. So that team that was moved from Austin became a very successful MLS side. Then you had the Aztecs 2.0 that came along. They were having success. They won a PDL championship. But for Austin to have not had professional soccer here the last 3 years, it's been difficult.
So now that the Austin Bold has been officialized by USL, what has been the overall reception to the team by the people of Austin?
It's been mixed, to be perfectly honest with you. There's been so much focus on Major League Soccer moving to Austin, and it's not been a secret that Major League Soccer, the league, wants to be in Austin, and they have wanted to be here for some time. Before the announcement of Austin FC, which will begin playing in 2021, Austin was the largest metropolitan area in the entire country that did not have a top-tier professional sports team. Austin is a young, vibrant, international, educated workforce. It's a city that Major League Soccer thinks they fit in perfectly with, and I agree. If you look at the viewership numbers of soccer, both at Champions League, World Cup, matches of that caliber, Austin is always in the top in the country in ratings. So this is a place that Major League Soccer has wanted to be for a long time. That being said, the announcement of Austin FC took a lot of punch, fire, whatever you want to call it, away from the announcement that the Bold were coming back, and that's something they've had to contend with. They're not the only game in town, and even though Austin FC won't take to the pitch for 2 years, they've had to deal with that, and it's been more difficult for them to get their message out.
Jacob?
Yeah, I guess. Is the team looking to form an alliance with an MLS team like many other independent USL teams?
Jacob, that's a very good question, and I don't know. I can only speculate. I haven't spoken to Bobby Epstein or his general manager, Roberto Pinto de Silva, about that. I don't know if that's something that they will do initially. I think right now they have their hands full. Completing their stadium, the pitch is already laid down, getting ready for this inaugural year. I think they're going to focus on that. And if they look to align with the Major League side, I think that will come further down the road.
So going back with this whole rivalry with Austin Bold, between Austin Bold and Austin FC, you mentioned that Austin FC kind of took their thunder, and that was also something that you feel might has affected the success of the Bold in Austin. But building along with that, what do you know about what the team wants to do, or what they are trying to do to try to sway supporters of Austin FC to also support the Bold?
Well, the Bulls have brought in some very, very talented players. They've brought in, I think this is the most expensive roster in the entire league and all of USL Championship. You have names like Dario Conca, the Argentine, who is world famous, a great caliber player who played in Europe, played in China, was one of the highest paid players in the world a few years back. You have guys like Kleber, the Gladiator, the Brazilian. And then they brought in some local talent. Guys like Chris Tierpak, who played for San Antonio FC, who played for the Austin Aztecs, who's from Austin. Guys like Sonny Guadarrama, Sonny who played for Necaxa, played for some other teams. He played for the Rayados of Sinaloa in Mexico. He's also a native Austinite. So they brought in these guys who have local ties, who they think can draw some local fans along with some of these bigger international names. And that's the mix they're hoping that will work to draw fans.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Bold also signed Xavi Baez, who is an ex-Chivas Guadalajara player.
They did. They did indeed. They signed Xavi Baez, the ex-man from Chivas. They've signed Josue Soto, who is on loan from Querétaro, the former San Antonio FC guy. Diego Restrepo, another former San Antonio FC player. They brought in a very talented roster. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of experience on this roster. How it shakes out, well, that remains to be seen. But when you have players of this caliber, if they can play together, I think it'll be a very good team.
Jacob, the number 5.
Yeah, and so of course, like us, you all have played some preseason games. How have you all looked throughout those preseason games?
The Bulldogs look good. They played preseason games against. They played UT-RGV. Aside from down in your neck of the woods, obviously the college team, which is a very good college team. They played St. Louis FC. They played a few local clubs around Austin. They've dominated possession in most of these scrimmages. Upwards of 65-70% of the possession in these matches. And they've looked dangerous. They have a plethora of attacking talent. I mentioned some of the names. They can score goals. That's not going to be a question. Andre Lima, the former Grêmio man from Brazil. Sonny Guadarrama, I already mentioned. Obviously, Dario Conca, guys who can score goals. They've looked very good. But this is, if anyone knows, this is preseason. And once the regular season starts and the games count for something, it's all different.
Yeah, definitely. It's something we were talking about as well with about the Toros in regards to that it's one thing in preseason playing against college teams, playing against other teams that are still in preseason, even if they are on MLS teams. But once these teams have fitness and the season starts, it's a whole different ballgame. You have fans, so you gotta deal with their pressure, especially if you're playing away. So it will be it's interesting to see how the Bold and all these signings kind of gel together once the season starts. I mean, it's interesting that you point out that the Bold is one of the biggest or the most expensive rosters in all of the USL Championship. So you mentioned that the play style based on these preseason has been mostly possession based.
It's possession, but it's with a purpose. They don't just want to hold the ball. They want to attack. And if you look at these scrimmages, the possession they've had is in the other team's third, is in the other team's defensive third. They've kept the ball at their feet. They've kept the other team under pressure. They've taken a lot of shots. They've scored a lot of goals. So it's going to be an exciting brand of soccer for fans to watch, and that's what they want to do. And having spoken with their general manager, he says it's quite obvious, and they're not making any bones about it. They want to compete for the title their first year. This isn't we want to get in the league and kind of get our feet wet and see how it goes. They want to contend. They want to win a title. That's the goal, and they're very open about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, of course, before I ask you the question, you just talked about your lineup, and that doesn't sound to me like it's a team that just wants to lay back for a year or two. They want to push forward and actually, win a championship just like you said in their first year, which is very possible, as the Toros almost proved as well. But now, of course, here's the question. Is there currently an established supporters group for the Bold?
There is not. And that is something they are working on. It's something that they have been working diligently on. But as far as I know, and this may have changed this week, but previous to this week, there was not. And as I said, you guys know this better than anybody, and you have a fantastic facility, a fantastic team, but it took time for things to coalesce. And if you talk to the ownership group and if you talk to people in the front office, the first year is always the hardest. And trying to get everything ready and everything behind the scenes that the fans don't generally see, it's difficult. And that's what they're working on. They're working on getting this stadium ready. It's going to be a beautiful facility, a beautiful pitch. And I think this is the only, as far as I know, this is going to be the only stadium in the entire world that's located in the middle of an F1 track. So it'll be a great atmosphere. But they have a lot to do. And their head coach, Marcelo Serrano, he's obviously focused on the product on the pitch. He's focused on the players. But when you have, as you gentlemen mentioned, these kind of players that have had this success at the international level, getting them to play together, getting them on the same page is going to take time. And they're trying to use the preseason to get that done so they can go head first into that first game at Las Vegas. And they don't want to have to be working on these things 2, 3, 4, 5 games into the season. They want to be able to start on the front foot.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of briefly mentioned about the Circuit of the Americas Stadium. Give us an update on on how the building of the stadium is going so far.
It's impressive. They have done an incredible job, and they've done it very quickly. The pitch has been laid; it's taking root. The stands on 2 of the 4 sides are up. They are working on the other side this week as we speak. I believe that'll be done, and then they're just going to have one more side. It's beautiful. I was out there a week and a half ago. There are great sight lines. You can get up, you can get something to drink, you can get some food while keeping your eyes on the pitch, which is rare. There are a lot of stadiums that if you're going to go get a refreshment or get something to eat, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think we've all had the feeling that you're up, and it doesn't matter what the sporting event is, and you hear everyone cheer, and it always seems to happen when you get up to leave your seat.
Never fails.
Well, it never fails. Exactly right. It doesn't matter what it is. It'll be a scoreless draw in the 92nd minute. The one goal comes when you have to get up to get out of your seat for whatever reason. And they're cognizant of that, and they've done a good job of keeping sight lines in various places to where you can get up and you can still keep an eye on the pitch. I'm excited. Obviously, the huge tower there that is kind of the focal point of the Circuit of the Americas track. My one recommendation was they put a camera on that, and I believe they're going to do that. So there will be a camera up almost 200 feet in the air, which gives a great vantage point as well. Look forward to having that on the broadcast. But it's going to be a beautiful facility. And you guys know this. I mean, the Toros have one of the nicest stadiums, one of the nicest facilities in USL Championship. And teams in Texas take pride in their home stadiums. And I'm glad the Bold are following suit with that.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jacob.
The only one thing that I would have a problem with if I was, an Austin Bolt fan going to the game is that it might be a long walk to near the amphitheater, which I know that's where the stadium is going to or is located. If I'm not mistaken, it's around the amphitheater because I've been there multiple times. And yes, that is a bit of a walk. Luckily, there is a bridge to it, so that's a good thing. But of course, that would be my main concern, would just be the walk to the stadium.
So is this
completely understandable? And you're right that this ground is going to be right between the amphitheater where the concerts are held and the Grand Plaza. I'm not entirely sure how parking is going to work. I know it is not going to be the same as going to concerts and going to F1, where you do have to park a ways away and you have to take the shuttle. Mm-hmm. Some of these games, dependent upon when they're held, there is parking very close by. And hopefully the case is that you will be able to park in those. And if that's the case, well, the walk is no more than about 5 minutes. But that remains to be seen. Again, these are front office things that I know they're all working out the best they possibly can. I know they'll do the best job they can. And I'm not privy to where parking is going to be. But I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue if I had to guess.
So what is the projected inauguration date for the Circuit of America Stadium?
Well, the home opener is March the 30th, and they will host San Antonio FC. So the I-35 rivalry will be held there. It'll be the home opener, the first home match for Austin Bold FC, March the 30th, I believe is a Saturday. Their first two matches are on the road. They will be at Las Vegas on the 9th, and the following weekend at Reno. And then the 30th, they kick off at home, and I think that everything will be ready to go. Fingers crossed that's the case, but from what I've seen, they are well on their way.
So out of all the players that are currently with the Austin Bold, and I know there's a lot of high caliber players that you mentioned that were signed by this team, which one in particular would you say that the rest of the USL has to be extremely careful?
That's a fantastic question, and they have some amazing players on this side. But if you're going to pick one to stand out, I have to go with Dario Conca, the Argentine. And Conca, who he's an absolute stud. He's a fantastic player. Plays attacking midfield. He can play right behind that front line. Back in 2011, he was the third highest paid player in the world, behind only Ronaldo and Messi, to give you an idea of his caliber. And he hasn't lost a whole lot from then. He's played for he played in Argentina for Tigre, River Plate. He played for Fluminense in Brazil for a long time. Then he was in Shanghai. He was at Flamengo briefly back in Brazil, and now he's with the Bold. And I've spoken with him, and he's excited. He's very happy to be here. And this isn't a retirement. I'm going to show up and get a paycheck. He wants to win. And if this is indeed the place he may finish his career, and that may be the case, he wants to go out as a winner. This is a guy who's won. I mean, he's played in the Copa Libertadores. He's played for the Argentine national team. He's played at the highest level. He wants to win.
I think it's just nice. It's nice that teams like Austin Bold are taking the USL Championship very seriously. And signing in these high quality players, kind of proving to the rest of U.S. soccer that you don't have to be in MLS or in First Division to sign, good players, and to try and be competitive. I personally think that if Austin Bold continues down this path and they start their championship run well in the 2019 season, I think that that'll be enough of a head start to kind of this is personal opinion, to kind of sway some Austin FC fans, because like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, since I know you are, you have more inside info on this, but it's still an incognito as to when Austin FC is going to start with MLS. So I think that them starting 2019 season, having a good run, maybe making to the playoffs, might sway some Austin FC fans to kind of support the Bold, especially if they continue to bring in high quality signings like you're saying.
Edson, I agree with you, and I certainly hope you're right. Austin FC, the earliest that they will start playing is 2021. It may be 2022, but even if it is 2021, that's 2 years away. And my issue as an Austinite and someone who grew up loving this game when we didn't have a professional team here, this would have been a dream for me as a child and as a teenager to have professional soccer in Austin. When I hear people complaining and saying they won't support this team, I'm quite frankly, I'm frustrated by it. I'm a bit angered. This is our professional team, and I urge people and I encourage people to support this team. They're going to be enjoyable to watch. It's going to be an attractive brand of soccer. And with the players they've brought in, they will be competitive. They're going to vie for a title in the first year. And I hope you're right, that if people see the results and they see that they're starting to win games and they're scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a match, that people will go out. And if nothing else, give them a chance and say, well, okay, we went out and we liked what we saw, or we didn't. But at the very least, you should go out and you should see for yourself.
Yeah, I just and we've mentioned this before, not only here and down in the Valley, but also with my Dynamo podcast, the Generation Orange, is that I feel like a lot of people that are soccer fans in the United States that don't necessarily follow U.S. soccer, You know, they always try to find some sort of excuse to not support their local team, especially if they're of lower divisions. You know, when I know I've had a couple of people, you know, when they ask about the Toros where they play, I say, well, it's second division. Oh, they're not in first division? Then no, I'm not going to support them. And even with MLS, like with Dynamo, you know, they refuse to support an MLS team because they have some sort of allegiance to their home country's team or whatever. Just the fact they think, oh well, this is lower quality soccer. And I hope that as more teams become entertaining to watch, even if it is in USL, even if it is in League One, in MLS, they become entertaining to watch. I hope more people, more fans start going to these games and allow U.S. soccer to continue to grow, because that's only going to help out in the end the men's national team, in the case of NWSL, the women's national team as well. That's just my hope. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I could not agree with you more. You are 100% correct, and this is a big pet peeve of mine. And I think this is an issue across this country, that people are maybe they're from Mexico, or their parents are. They're a Chivas fan, so they'll support Chivas, or they'll support America or Tigres, or whoever the case is, or they're a Chelsea fan or a Barcelona fan. That's fine. You can be a fan of those teams. You can be a fan of Manchester United. You can be a fan of Pumas, but that doesn't mean you can't support the team in the city you live in. And when I see people in Austin waking up early to go watch Tottenham, or taking off work to go watch a Champions League match, but they won't support the team in the city which they live, I don't understand it. And if the United States, especially the men, are ever going to compete for a World Cup, we have to improve in these lower divisions. The reason that Argentina, Brazil, and Germany are always competing for a World Cup is because they have 4, 5, 6 divisions. They have that quality, they have that depth, and they have the support. And if people in this country don't do that, we're never going to get that depth. And yes, they're ahead of us. And yes, they've been playing for 100 years. And Major League Soccer is just over 20 years old. But we have to support local soccer, and you have to do it at the grassroots level, or we're never going to have a shot.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more, for sure, because, I mean, that's where you have to start. That's where everything starts up. It obviously, yes, it could start up at pay to play, which is still one of the dumbest things, but of course, how are you going to pay for obviously the parks and stuff? And then of course, you just bring it up to grassroots. That's where you get those young players from America, basically. You're not going to see those players instantly playing in Europe. Yes, that's where, guess what, the best players are at the moment. And yes, that's where at the moment you have to go in order to be successful, or so they say. But of course, the MLS is on the rise, and there's a chance for everything to change, basically, especially, and this is where you have to start.
So one final question before we let you go, Kit, because I know we're starting to get to the top of the hour and the end of the show. But how has the local media in Austin supported or covered the Austin Bold? How can you describe it? Is it have they been doing a lot of coverage, or is it like, for example, in the case of RGV, that very limited amounts of local news stations or local radio stations even cover or talk about Austin Bold?
It's been a mixed bag. Chris Bills from the Austin American Statesman, our local paper, has done a fantastic job, and I really need to give him a lot of credit. He has been fantastic in his reporting of not just the Bowl, but of Austin FC. He's been on the ground floor. He's been on top of all the announcements from the very beginning. The television news has not done a very good job, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. This is a city dominated by the University of Texas, but this isn't the Austin of 20 years ago, and everyone that lives here now does not have a burnt orange connection. And I think our television news media is a little late to recognize that. Mm-hmm. I would like to see them get more on board with this a bit, and they may. They're starting to get on board slowly because Austin FC has forced them to, is now we're going to have top-tier soccer coming around. But It's been a mixed bag, to answer your question. A few people are doing a great job, but by and large, it leaves a bit to be desired.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kit, we're really glad that you accepted the invite to talk about Austin Bold. I hope everybody who was watching us right now learned a little bit more about the team and what to expect, not only this Saturday in this preseason match, but whenever the Toros play the Austin Bold. This isn't going to be like you mentioned, your average first-year team where they're going to be taking a conservative approach. This is a really well thought out, well built team in regards to the parts that they have brought in, the coaching, the players. So Toros fans, you cannot underestimate the Austin Bold, as you probably heard from the Kit's own voice. So really appreciate all of your insight in regards to the Austin Bold. Where can they find you if they want to follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Kit McConnico, and I'm very happy to say I will be on the call for all of the Bold home games this season. So I look forward to that, and I look forward to a fantastic season in the USL Championship. And best of luck to you, gentlemen. Best of luck to the Toros, obviously with the exception of one notable game.
Yep. Rivals for 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. Thank you again very much for the invitation. It's been my pleasure.
Of course, anytime. Hopefully we can have you on the week before that match against the Austin Bold to talk a little bit more and give us an update on how the Bold is doing by that time. It'd be a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a good night, and good luck in this 2019 season.
Edson, Jacob, thank you again. Best.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Have a good night. Well, guys, it's 9 o'clock already. It's time to pretty much call it a night. Thank you all for tuning in for these 2 hours full of a lot of information about not only the Toros, but also along the USL. Really appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you guys have not liked this video, be sure to give it a like, guys. All of that really helps us out a lot, especially as we're trying to grow and continue to bring you more content and covering the Toros. This isn't easy. You know, it's a lot of time that we have to sacrifice out of our day, you know, to not only do these shows, but make sure to get the information, calling people to invite them all over to the show. And so every time you guys share a video, you guys interact with us on Twitter, whether it's our personal accounts or through the Down in the Valley account. You know, it really makes our day and makes us know that our efforts are appreciated. So thank you guys for tuning in. I want to give a big shout out to my dad, Javier Ochoa. Big shout out to Johnny, Estampede Presidente. Where is the chat? Who else we got here? Callo, thank you, Callo, for tuning in. I know I saw Cisco.
Sure.
Yes, Cisco as well. Thank you guys for all of y'all's support for Down in the Valley. None of this is possible without y'all. And looking forward to next week talking more about what happened this Saturday on the this preseason friendly against the Austin Bold, and hopefully I can get some more information in regards to these events that Mayra Olivarez told us. Which, by the way, thank you, Mayra Olivarez, thank you, Kit McConnico, for taking y'all's time out of your day to come and talk to us on the show live on YouTube. We really, really appreciate it. Jacob, any last words before we go?
No, just looking forward to the game on Saturday. Looking forward to probably talk about it, and hopefully we'll even have a bit more to talk about as well after Tuesday's event, with hopefully Houston Dynamo moving through. Because guess what? As much as I know the Toro fans hate it, Houston Dynamo is here to stay with RGVFC. So
Houston Dynamo is our family, and it's like brothers and sisters. We might hate each other sometimes. The big brother's always going to pick on the little brother in many ways, but in the end, we have to learn to love each other. Just ask my sister, and she'll tell you all about it. Fun fact: it took me a while to really love her. You can ask her when next time she's on the show, and my dad's not gonna let me lie. But in the end, we all love each other. We might have our differences, but hey, one can't live without the other so far, and I think that's what people need to understand. So guys, thank you all so much. If you guys missed any part of this show, be sure to check out the archive stream on YouTube once the live stream ends. Also, you can check out our podcast, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, which is new. Guys, really, go out there, listen to the podcasts in these platforms, and share it with your friends. If you guys have any other Toros fans or Dynamo fans that want to know more about the Toros, because I know that's another big problem here in Houston, and people don't care about the Toros, be sure to tell them about us. Give them the link to our YouTube page, to our social media. Tell them to follow us, and hopefully we can keep on having more people on the show. We really appreciate all y'all's participation up on the chat as well. It makes it a lot more interactive, and it makes these 2 hours pass by really quick. And like I said, really appreciate it. Follow us on our social media. You can follow me personally at @eochoa_8. Jacob, what's your Twitter?
Jacob Young 456.
Also, down in the valley, the Down in the Valley Twitter at Down in the RGV, Facebook.com/Down in the RGV. Also, Instagram at Down in the RGV as well. We are still trying to work on getting downintheRGV.com back live. There's still some issues going on. If we have to go to an alternative domain, we will let y'all know. But the website, we are making plans to getting it back up, and we continue to have more articles for you all to read and share. If you guys are Spanish speakers, read Spanish, I will be writing articles for Mente Futbolera about RGVFC, so be sure to read those and share them as well as we try to get more coverage of the Toros, because we want the Toros to be successful as much as any of you guys do. So having said all of this, before I forget as well, be sure to follow our friends at the Beautiful Game Network, Twitter at the BGNFM, Facebook, I believe they also have facebook.com/thebgnfm. Check out their website, bgn.fm, where you can also listen to our podcast through there. And of course, BGN Written. And Jacob will let you know when he starts writing again, whether it's with Last Word on Soccer or with another alternative platform. But he will let you guys know. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll see each other next Thursday, because Wednesday will be Generation Orange because of CONCACAF Champions League. But next Thursday, we will be back on to talk more about the Toros. Hopefully, get some more information and hopefully some more good news. Thank you all. Have a good night. And hashtag We Are Toros, hashtag Somos Toros, and hashtag Down in the Valley. Have a good night.
But I'm foolish. I needed you. Know that I've been missing. But I'm foolish. I needed you. Know that I've been missing. But I'm foolish. I needed you. Know that I've been missing. But I'm foolish.